Hey guys, I'm Morgan Harbin for SMR Vault. It's hard to believe that the 2017 first robotics competition season is already coming to a close for most teams. But it's been about 3 months since first Steamworks was unveiled back on January 7th of this year. Now, during week 4 of the competition season, the season reached a climax for most local teams at the Smoky Mountains Regional. SMR is always an exciting event, and its location at Thompson Bowling Arena in the heart of East Tennessee makes it all the more thrilling. This year, 24 teams from the Smoky Mountains region put on a weekend-long show, and we're here to bring you the most exciting highlights from the 2017 Smoky Mountains Regional. Before we dive in, I'd like to welcome rookie teams 6302, the Tech Devils, 6517 for the win, and 6654 the Central Robot Caddocks to the Smoky Mountains Regional. Each team certainly represented this region very well, and 6517 even brought home the Rookie All-Star Award. Now let's get into the game. First, Steamworks. As you most likely know, Steamworks is all about getting airships ready for flight. Obviously nothing actually took flight, though drones could be cool first. Instead, teams were challenged to complete the 3 main tasks required to fly a ship. 1. Fuel it up. This game element returned to low scores, but definitely distinguished competitive teams from the rest of the pack. 2. Load that thing up with gears. We saw many different interpretations of gear mechanisms, ranging from basic catch and deliver mechanisms to systems that could pick gears up off the ground. And 3. Get on the actual ship. It's self-explanatory, but certainly easier said than done. Each robot that could climb added 50 points to its alliance's score, so climbing definitely proved to be a necessity. Local teams 4576 Red Nation Robotics, 6302 the Tech Devils, and 3140 Farragut Flagship kicked us off in the first of 80 qualifying matches. From the start, one thing was evident: traffic, traffic, traffic. Team 5508 the Wolfbots experienced this in qualifying match 18 when another team left behind debris from a collision. No harm done though, and the Wolfbots went on to debut what is decisively the fastest climber we saw at the regional. It took a bit of time to find the rope, but once it grabbed on, Tarzan the robot was up in about 2 seconds. Fast forward to match 20, and BCR, another team with a strong climber, suffered a little when a pilot dropped a gear being delivered. These drops throughout the weekend highlighted the importance of teams properly training their pilots. A pilot who consistently drops gears and forgets ropes will certainly have a negative effect on a team's performance, especially when it comes time for alliance selection. In this case though, the dropped gear was just a testament to how delicate the airship's pegs are, and it wasn't the pilot's fault. A match later, Flagship's robot put on a fabulous display by firing into its own airship, much to the surprise of the pilots. The bot functioned fine the rest of the match, but Flagship and the Roboticon's eventual 240 to 255 point loss to Cybertribe and Rat Rod Robotics locked Flagship into a disappointingly low rank for the rest of the day, a dramatic difference from their stellar performance at Palmetto. The following rounds proved disappointing for the Ellen and Stimpunks, since the robot Hurrier took home a few losses. Hurrier never went down without a fight though, and most matches ended with Ellen being within 15 points of winning. Rounds 62 and 66 would later prove to be exciting rounds for the Stimpunks, who took home 2 wins. The second was by a whopping 120 points in alliance with Rat Rod Robotics and Team 4630 Robo Dragon. Rewinding to qualifier 47, Team 4265 the Secret City Wildbots secured a nice 255 to 236 point win alongside Team 4264 Fellowship of the Springs. The Wildbots robot, dubbed Oppenheimer, showed off its impressive gear delivery speeds and large fuel capacity. The team certainly made clear the importance of fuel during matches, particularly going into finals. Soon after, in round 48, Team Flagship added another loss to their tough day when they struggled to climb. Other than that though, the team once again demonstrated its reliable gear delivery system and hinted at its defensive tactics, something that would later come in handy during alliance selection. Back on the grid in round 51, Blount County Robotics proved itself to be a strong team in the way of gear delivery despite dropping 1 midway through the match. BCR and Rat Rod took home the win this round, but not without a fight from Team 6302 the Tech Devils and Team 4576 Red Nation Robotics. The final score was 260 to 258, one of the closest matches we saw all weekend. 3 matches later, the Wolfbot successfully installed a gear during the 15-second autonomous period, a feat other teams like BCR struggled to pull off. A combination of this, Catholic's ball intake capabilities, and a great performance from Fellowship of the Springs led the Red Alliance to victory over Blue, which included Team 6219 Cutting Edge Robotics, who had trouble with a potentially stalled bot in the middle of the match. In the following match, the Hardin Valley Rohoctics landed a gear in auto, contributing to one of the first 2-rotor auto periods we've seen, and they kept everyone on the edge of their seats with a gutsy gear installation within the last 20 seconds. They quickly climbed and led their alliance to victory. It was about this time that HVA secured first rank out of 50 teams, finally besting Blount County. BCR had been at a top spot all day, one of their best performances in their 5-year history. Speaking of BCR, they, in alliance with Team 4306, the Robo Komodos, lost to the heavily stacked Red Alliance, composed of the Wolfbots, the Wildbots, and Flagship. It was a hard-fought battle, and it marked the beginning of a losing streak for BCR. Immediately after that, Team 5002 Dragon Robotics, Team 4020 Cybertribe, and Team 6302 the Tech Devils entered the ring. Dragon Robotics put up a solid fight and finished with a successful climb, but Cybertribe and the Tech Devils took home the win, setting Cybertribe up for a spot in the top 8. Round 62 saw a tense match, pitting the Rohoctics and the Stimpunks against Rat Rod Robotics and Red Nation Robotics. R&R suffered some frustrating gear delivery trouble, which played a role in their loss with Rat Rod, in which HVA and LNN won only by a single climb. Team 4462, the Full Metal Jackets, followed this up with an exciting performance in a Blue Alliance 3-way climb that kept members in the stands on their feet. Team 6517 was left with a loss. Next up was the closest match we've seen, which ended in a 257 to 256 point Blue Alliance triumph. 6654, the rookie Central Robobcatics, shared in their alliance's victory, while the Roboticons, despite a gear in auto and an extremely fast gear delivery system, took the loss. These scores, however, couldn't top the excitement of the 376-point high score of Cybertribe and Team 5186, the Cybears. The match was certainly disheartening for the Tech Devils and the Secret City Wildbots, who suffered a severe collision with Team 108. Rounds 66 and 68 saw setbacks for the Wolfbots, who fell in rankings after a failure to climb despite a solid auto gear delivery. It was about this time that I had an epiphany.
Ah, crap. I've had the image stabilizer off this whole time?
Yeah, sorry about that. With the image stabilizer finally turned on, we snagged footage of an eventful round 70. The Roboticons BCR and Team 5744 Broken Gears lost to Web Robotics and the Full Metal Jackets. The match saw a lot of traffic, fantastic gear performance from the Roboticons, and a disappointing attempt to climb from BCR. A match later, Team 4306, the Robo Komodos, and Team 3984, the Toppers, lost to the Blue Alliance, largely because of a 3-way Blue Alliance climb that included Red Nation Robotics. The final 9 qualifiers saw wins for Flagship, the Roboticons, the Wildbots, Team 4 the Win, the Rohoctics, Fellowship of the Springs, Web Robotics, the Full Metal Jackets, and Team 4098, Viking Robotics. With 80 qualifiers out of the way, 5 Smoky Mountains teams were left in the top 8. After Alliance selection, 10 teams from our region moved on to quarterfinals. Cybertribe was chosen by Alliance Captain 1287 Aluminum Assault. The Rohoctics chose the Roboticons, ranked 10th as one Alliance partner. The Wildbots were team captains of Alliance 3. Web Robotics got picked up by Team 1876 Beachbotics. Flagship was saved from their rank in the 32nd position to move on under Alliance Captain Delphi Elite. The Fellowship of the Springs led Alliance 6 into quarterfinals. The Wildbots, ranked 19th, were selected by Team 4533 Wando Advanced Robotics. And finally, Team 4462, the Full Metal Jackets, moved on to quarterfinals under 5492, the Robo Jockeys. Cybertribe and the Full Metal Jackets led local teams into the quarterfinals in an extremely close match. 4020 set up the Red Alliance for victory with the gear and fuel in auto. In the final 30 seconds, Red achieved a 3-way climb and the Full Metal Jackets struggled to climb for the Blue Alliance. With a second left in the match, the Blue Alliance was headed for a loss, but 4462 reached the touchpad with a fraction of a second to go, settling the score at 260 to 259 points and bringing home a Blue Alliance win. The same alliance followed it up with another match against Cybertribe's alliance, and the Full Metal Jackets took home another win, sending them into the semifinals. Quarterfinal 2 saw a prolonged 3-match fight between the Red Alliance, made up of Web Robotics and Red Nation Robotics, and the Blue Alliance, which included Flagship. Match 1 was discouraging for Flagship since R&R and Web took home the win there, despite Flagship's effective defensive strategy I mentioned earlier. Match 2 saw a stronger Blue Alliance though. Blue started out with 2 gears in auto and some auto fuel, and Flagship's continued defense gave the Blue Alliance an impressive 316 to 265 point win over Red. Both teams having won a match, a third match began to settle the score. The Blue Alliance came out on top, earning Flagship a hard-fought spot in the semifinals. The third round of quarterfinals was dominated by the Red Alliance. Hardin Valley and the Roboticons defeated the Wolfbots of the Blue Alliance with 2 consecutive 3-way climbs, and during the first round we witnessed Hardin Valley triumphantly deliver the last gear required for the second 4-rotor match of the Smoky Mountains Regional. The final round of quarterfinals saw more domination by the Red Alliance, this time composed of the Wildbots, Category 5 and Team 108 Sigma Cat. Both rounds, Red produced scores in the 400s. The most notable things about this match: Red's delivery system, which involved the Wildbots dropping gears for Category 5 to pick up, and Blue's defensive strategy, which succeeded by delaying Red Alliance gear deliveries. But defense couldn't win this round, and Fellowship of the Springs fell in defeat as the Wildbots became the final alliance to move on to semifinals. In semifinal 1, Flagship of the Blue Alliance was pitted against the Full Metal Jackets for 3 grueling rounds. Round 1 went to Flagship's alliance, but the second round proved disappointing for the team, whose defensive strategy evidently wasn't enough to beat the Jackets. The third tie-breaking match saw fuel shots from Flagship and Team 744 Shark Attack. We've talked about shooting separating champions from average teams, but here it was thanks to the fact that only one Red robot was able to climb that Flagship was sent into finals. Semi-final 2 was a nail-biter, even more so than the first semi. Match 1 ended in a tie, opening up the possibility for Hardin Valley and the Roboticons of the Red Alliance and the Wildbots of the Blue Alliance to duel for a total of 4 matches. The next 2 matches were filled with collision after collision after collision. 38-24 and 42-65 became engaged in some aggressive defense, and 42-65 came out on top during the second match. The tension didn't have to progress to a 4th match, and that may have been a good thing for the Roboticons, whose robot seemed stuck or stalled at the end of the 3rd match, leaving them with a disappointing loss despite attempts to shoot to end their weekend. The same goes for Hardin Valley, who lost to the Wildbots. The Wildbots were sent into a grueling series of final matches, where the winner of 2 of 3 matches would be crowned the champion here at SMR. Not to worry though, because the Rohawkdigs bought their ticket to Houston at the earlier Palmetto Regional. And now, it's time for finals. The autonomous period of the first match of finals didn't prove to be reassuring for Flagship of the Red Alliance or the Wildbots of the Blue Alliance. It ended in a tie, leaving teams with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to settle a hard-fought score. The Wildbots found themselves up by 10 points within a minute of the match, but more aggressive defense from Flagship set a fairly even score for most of the match. Eventual defensive teamwork out of Flagship and Team 48 severely inhibited the Wildbots from delivering gears, and the tactic, along with the Wildbots' failure to climb after a risky gear delivery, finally overwhelmed the Blue Alliance, marking the first win in what could be 3 final rounds. Match 2's auto period ended with another 75 to 75 point tie, adding another level of uncertainty to the remainder of the match. Fuel in the high boiler from Team 744 gave Red a slight edge, and Flagship and Team 48's strategic defense continued to prevent Blue from traveling across the field. With 3 seconds left in the match, the score was 263 to 280 with Blue in the lead. Flagship was the last team to climb aboard the airship, and Blue Alliance members watched with stress and dismay as 3140's touchpad lit up Red, settling the score at 313 to 280 Red Alliance and making Flagship the comeback champions of the 2017 Smoky Mountains Regional. What a competition! As some closing commentary, I wanted to point out a few key elements that played big factors in the results that you just watched. Number 1, pilots. Like I mentioned earlier, well-trained pilots with an acute sense of awareness of each robot's position on the field, along with a level of care that prevented the delicate pegs from dropping gears being delivered, reflected very well on teams that could pull it off, since pilots executed the final and vital transfer of gears to the airship. Number 2 is climbers. Steamworks was a very demanding game in terms of climbing. The ability to scale a rope was a definite necessity for any team with their sights set on St. Louis or Houston. 2 key components were notable in the climbing department. The first is speed. Teams that were able to grab the rope and climb it within 5 seconds were also able to continue delivering gears until around the 7 to 10 second mark. If one more gear was required for an additional rotor, a robot's ability to deliver it and climb within a short time frame could mean the difference between a championship and a disappointing weekend. This trait was probably best demonstrated in qualifier 55 by the Hardin Valley Rohoctics. The second key component of climbing was reliability. Flagships struggled a bit with this, and their occasionally inconsistent climber nearly cost them a few vital rounds. And number 3 is gear pickup. We saw many robots with the ability to not only receive gears via chute, but also to pick them up off of the ground. This aspect proved very valuable for teams like the Wildbots in Category 5, who pursued a strategy throughout finals in which the Wildbots received and dropped gears off to be picked up and delivered by Category 5. However, the question remains, will there be enough dropped gears at championships where robots are running at peak performance, and will this invalidate some of the value of having a gear pickup system? Well, another season has flown by. I'd like to extend a massive congratulations to Flagship and the Rohoctics who will represent the Smoky Mountains region at this year's World Championships. If your team is headed to Worlds and finds this video helpful, or if you just enjoyed recapping this year's Smoky Mountains Regional, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Also, feel free to look back at this year's weekly updates to review the strategies and the progress of the teams that you just watched compete, and use that info to plan for next year. This year, SMR Vault will say goodbye to senior members Saber Reese, me, and Elijah Lawson, who have built and maintained this channel over the past 2 years. However, next year we'll bring another exciting batch of student reporters, including upcoming second-year member D'Artagnan Rouyan. Thank you to each team who contributed to and supported our growing network throughout the 2017 season. And we encourage your team to maintain active involvement in SMR Vault next year, starting in the pre-season. Stay tuned for years more of exciting videos from your home region, all courtesy of the whole team here at SMR Vault. For SMR Vault, I'm Morgan Harbin. Get some rest over the summer, and we'll see you in a few months.